Welcome to the Christmas Connection, where the magic of the season comes alive. Join your host, Dawn Mack, as she connects you to the heart of the holidays. From cherished traditions and inspiring stories to conversations with the people who make this time of year truly special. So grab a cup of cocoa, get comfy by the tree, and let's celebrate the joy of the season together. This is the Christmas Connection.
Hello, friends. It's Dawn Mack, and you're listening to the Christmas Connection. Today's episode is a very special one as we look back on a timeless classic that has warmed hearts for half a century. My guest is Dean Butler, known to generations as Almanzo Wilder from Little House on the Prairie. We'll talk about his remarkable journey, the enduring legacy of the show, and the upcoming 50th anniversary reunion happening December 12th through the 14th at Strattern Historical Park in Simi Valley, California. Let's get started. Here is my interview with Dean Butler. I am so delighted to welcome my guest today, actor, producer, author, and storyteller Dean Butler, beloved by millions for his role as Almanzo Wilder on Little House on the Prairie. Dean, it's truly an honor to have you here.
Well, thanks, Dawn. When I see the name of a show, The Christmas Connection, I'm all in.
Well, I love Christmas. This is my favorite time of year. I'm one of these Christmas in July until the end of the year people. So anytime they start showing movies, I'm there. Christmas.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm all about it. So, but thank you. It's an honor to have you with us.
Well, listen, where Little House is concerned, Little House did such a beautiful job of capturing a certain feeling about Christmas in episodes from the pilot to the very end of the series. Christmas always figured into it. I think it's a time of year that connects people in a very special way, and I think for most people, and I know it's not this way for everybody, but I think for most people, it's a happy time of year. And I think we need all the happy times of year we can get these days.
That is very, very true. I mean, we definitely need the joy and just whatever we can get these days for sure. Well, your career has been filled with roles and stories that have stood the test of time. And from your years on Little House on the Prairie to your work behind the camera as a producer and a storyteller, when you look back on that journey, what do you think has most shaped the kind of artist you become today?
Well, I really think, that the way I grew up, the family I was born into and was raised in, I think really, those relationships cannot be underestimated in terms of the impact that they have on us and the people that we become because of the people that love us and care for us when we're small. And I think, it gives us everything that shapes who we are. And I think and I understand that not everybody has a wonderful youth, and no one's youth is perfect. That goes without saying. But I have to say, looking at my youth on balance, it was a really very good time. And I think it's defined me throughout my whole life. And I think probably the truest sign of that is that I've never really sought to push away from it. I've never sought to say, this was not my life, or I disliked my life as a kid. I, on balance, had a really, really good youth experience, dominantly because my family was so wonderful to me. And I feel very strongly about that. And I think all of that led me to the kinds of things that I have done in my life, particularly as an actor. And I just think, we have, as actors, all actors have certain qualities about them. And I think my quality that I've had as a person and had as an actor is sort of an open, trusting, positive feel. I see the world in very positive terms overall. I'm not always thrilled with everything that's going on, but I like to think of the world in positive terms. I always believe that good things are going to occur in the end. It may not always be good going every step of the way, but I feel like in the long push, things are good. And I think that's so attitude driven. We decide how it's going to turn out for us, or certainly we decide how we are going to react to the things that happen to us.
Yeah, that's very well said.
So we have a choice on all that. So my choice, I've been fortunate, but my choice is generally to view the world in positive terms. And I think when it comes to something like, talking about the holidays and I think that's so much of what that's all about. I love the fantasy of that. I love the warmth of it. And I think all of that time in my life really shapes how I view the world. So it's all interconnected. Everything is interconnected.
Absolutely. And I think you raised some very important points, and that is one's upbringing can be quite a defining moment in their lives that drives them, and some people rise to it and overcome any challenges they may have had, or others and learn to view the world in a positive way. And the other point you raised that I found very interesting and very on point, and that is that because we live in a world that we live in now where we're overwhelmed with so much more bad news and bad events and things than we are good. And it's hard to find the good or to remember that good still exists and good does always prevail. And it's easy to kind of get sucked into that negative channel a lot of times because of what we see on the daily. But we have to remember that the good is still there. It's just not highlighted. If it was, it would be a much different world, I'm thinking, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with, look, I think we are in sync here, Dawn. I agree with what you've said. I think all of us are tasked, particularly in times like this, with finding the best. And look, in ourselves and in those around us, I think the challenge is to stay open. It's very easy in times like what we're in to retreat into yourself, to shrink your world a little bit in the interest of just not seeing, of not looking at what's really happening.
Right.
And I think that may be tempting. It is tempting because we just don't want to be surrounded by so much bad news. But I think we have to keep our eyes open. We have to be as aware as we can be, as aware as we can tolerate being as to what's going on, and try and proceed in the most positive terms, despite what we may feel is not the best course of action. And this all becomes such a personal thing. And look, I'm fully aware that the things that I could think are not happy things or not good things for the world are things that someone else looks at and said, that is exactly what I want. Mm-hmm. And that's a challenge. Yeah. Because it's hard to, but that's reality. And it's how we how we navigate that very challenging point where we are accepting of the differences around us, but not combative. We have to be aware, but we don't have to be combative.
That's true. That's true. And I do think it all stems from personal conviction and upbringing and how we were raised and what we were taught. And then you see a lot of dynamics today that that may or may not align, but understanding that we're all individuals and we all have our own thoughts and feelings and mindsets and ideas. And I think a lot of what's missing now that used to exist is the respect of each other and different viewpoints, which, unfortunately, as good as the internet can be and social media can be for a lot of positive things, it can be equally, if not more so, detrimental to shaping mindsets or opinions, or passing opinions as facts. And so it can be very, very influential, in other words. And
no question. No question. It is influential, and it's not, we all are, because of the way that algorithms are designed, we all find ourselves in the echo chamber of our choosing. And so we become stunned when we hear about such stark, hard differences, because we are generally, in most cases, we are not surrounding ourselves, or we choose not to surround ourselves with people who or opinions that we perceive as contrary to our own beliefs, and yet they're there. And when we're faced with them, those are the very big choice moments that we have. I mean, can we stay and tolerate it, or do we do that respectfully, or do we become extremely animated and explode back at the opinion that we disagree with?
Right.
Or do we run for cover and close the door behind us and just not listen? And I think, depending on the circumstances we're in, and this is really off of Christmas.
It's okay. It's great. It's great conversation.
Depending on what circumstance we're in, I think, and I'm sure there are any number of other options that people consider as well. But we do, depending on who we're with and what the circumstance is, we do a whole range of options to cope.
Yeah, that's right.
And it runs the gamut. It definitely runs the gamut for me.
I think a great way to summarize that, what you've said, is that every day we're faced with challenges, and a motto that I've often lived by for a very long time is that we have the choice to be better or be bitter. And so, and that's in anything and whatever we encounter. And so learning to be better is always going to be better. At least I've found that to be the case. Well, you've often said that joining Little House changed your life in so many ways. And if you could go back to your first day on set as Almanzo, what advice would you give that younger version of yourself?
Oh, boy. Isn't that interesting? If one could go back and
know what you know now.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I think probably it would be hard to do this, but I think the advice that I might give myself is to try not to take it all so seriously, in terms of looking at the risk, the fear of failure, the anxiety of, am I enough? I mean, these are things that, as people, we are always dealing with. I've always been so impressed by people who at least outwardly seem to be not very concerned or overly concerned about what others think of them. I don't know if that's real or not. I really don't know. But if you can, and it's not, when you say they're not concerned about it, it's, there are people who they have a sense that they have anxiety and they push back hard, as opposed to the person who can just let it wash over them, who can just be with the anxiety that they may or may not feel and be okay in that space of that anxiety. I know I went into Little House with a lot of, concern about, was I going to be good enough? Was I going to be what was needed? Was I going to make a good contribution? I don't think I'm alone in that at all, but we all, in whatever we're doing, if we have those anxieties, they can be very, very strong in us. And that the advice, the advice or the guidance I would try and give myself looking back is to, if at all, as much as possible, to let go of that stuff, because it's not productive. It really doesn't help you.
Well, and I think the hardest thing, because it's human nature and we're all human, the hardest thing to do in any situation is, and I would imagine this would be really difficult in an actor's life, and that is to just be in the moment. But you're thinking about all these things, like you were just mentioning, that are so critical to making the role your own and making sure everybody's happy on set. And there's a lot of other things that add the pressure, and it's hard to just be in the moment and let it organically happen, because one, if you've never done it, you don't know what to expect until you've experienced it, That's
right. Yeah. And I think what you've said, to be in the moment is the best for an actor, and maybe for any creative endeavor, which on some level is everything. Yeah. Everything is creative. And to be able to be in the moment, genuinely, authentically, honestly, is the greatest thing you can do for yourself and for the people you're working with.
Absolutely. Now, speaking of Christmas, the Little House Christmas episodes are among the most cherished in television history. I mean, even to this day. And when you rewatch them now, is there one moment or scene that still moves you, and maybe in a different way today than it did back then?
Well, I'm going to cite a moment that I'm not a part of, but that is in the Little House pilot. When Mr. Edwards, wades across the Verdigris River in his long johns and comes to the door of the Ingalls Little House in Kansas, frozen, looking like Santa Claus in the doorway. And it's when he has the little bag of gifts. He has the tin cup and the nickel or the penny and the shiny penny and the peppermint stick. And then the sweet potatoes for Mom, and the lovely sweetness, the gratitude that is shared in those moments that is so beautiful. The girls being thrilled with a tin cup and a shiny penny and a peppermint stick, and Ma being thrilled, just like overjoyed, so happy she doesn't quite know what to say, with 3 sweet potatoes or 2, whatever it was. It was 2 sweet potatoes, 1, whatever it was. I think that those expressions of gratitude are so beautiful. And I think to be able to feel that kind of gratitude is a gift to everybody that you're around. And it's a gift to yourself, because it's just that's being, I think what we see in that scene is just this beautiful openness of human connectedness. And I love that particular Christmas moment because of that. And you'd love to be able to react to the simplest of gifts like that. And, it leads me to something that I talked to you a little bit about. I talked to you about the Christmas I ruined as a little boy. And I did it to myself. I completely ruined a Christmas. And I was, as a kid, a horrible peeker. Pressing paper to see the labels on boxes and tearing back Scotch tape to look at the edge of all of these things. And my mother, on that particular Christmas, she knew exactly what was going on. Moms know. Moms know when you're cheating. And she said to me at one point, probably a week before Christmas, she said, if you keep going with this, you're going to ruin your Christmas because there will be no surprises and you're not going to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
And she was right, because I peeked at everything and there were no surprises. And it was the worst Christmas of my life that I can remember. And what I got from that is suddenly I became far less interested in what I was getting for Christmas and much more interested in what I was giving for Christmas.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it just happened in that moment. And from that point forward, I've never looked at a box. I've never, I just don't know anything about what I'm getting for Christmas, unless I've gotten myself something that I know I really want. And, and I do that too. But that's different. I know what that is. I'm doing that for myself. And I'm fine with it. That's totally fine with that. And I think a lot of people get themselves a little treat that they like for themselves and for themselves, and it's all good. But I think, so then in doing that, so being being unconcerned about what I'm getting, it allows me to be very grateful for anything that I get and that comes my way. And my focus is on what I'm buying for others. Now, look, in our family life, Catherine does most of the shopping because I think we do some shopping together, and we do a lot of online shopping together. But she does most of the shopping for the grandchildren. She meticulously looks at their lists of things that they want, and she does her very best to give them what they want. Catherine's a big believer in get people what they've asked for.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not quite in that. I think surprising someone, and it may not be something that they totally love, but getting them something that you think they'd like is, that's sort of the fun of giving the gift. It's not just getting them exactly what they want in the color that they want. And that's nice. And I think that's really thoughtful. But the joy of finding something, picking it out because you think they'd really like this, wrapping it, putting it under the tree, all of that there's a lot of fun in that, in doing that.
It really is. And the joy of Christmas is being able to give gifts. And the way I buy gifts is I think of the individual, and I think of what their interests are and what they enjoy and what brings them joy. And I shop accordingly. And you find, even if you're not told what they want, if you follow that, you're going to always give them something that they are really going to, one, they'll be surprised by, and two, they will love it because it relates to them personally and completely, instead of just going and buying something for the sake of checking off their name on a list, I get so much more joy from seeing the expression or seeing them open the gift more so than I do receiving gifts, because to me that
Yeah,
is
yeah,
my gift, you know,
yeah,
and
yeah,
it's
yeah.
a really good thing. Now we have to talk about this 50th anniversary reunion that's coming up
Oh, okay,
at
okay.
Strathern Historical Park. I know fans are thrilled about this. Can you share what this gathering means to you personally and what fans can look forward to from this very special event?
So we have not done a lot of Christmas specific events over the years, and we have been involved in some Christmas events, but we really thought because of Little House's wonderful treatment of Christmas through the years, that we thought that it was time to do a Christmas targeted event. And so we're doing a Little House on the Prairie cast reunion for Christmas at a place called Strathern Historical Park in Simi Valley, California. Simi Valley, of course, is the city, the area where Little House was shot. The exteriors of Little House were shot. That's where Walnut Grove was built, and all of that was in Simi Valley. Well, in 2024, we did our 50th anniversary event that in March of 2024, we had 18,000 people from 27 countries come to Simi Valley to experience that event with us. This Christmas event, by design, is much smaller than that. It's a much more intimate event. There will not be 18,000 people there, and we are sizing this event so that we have the opportunity as a cast to directly interact with people. You know, we know from our experiences doing this that, okay, in a panel, you can talk to many more people. But in a one-on-one encounter, in a meet and greet session, nobody can really greet more than about 250 people a day.
Yeah.
It's just not possible. I mean, you
Right.
can't do anything. You can push a picture at somebody, but you can't talk to them and see more than about 250 people a day. So we have sized the event according to that. Now we're allowing more than 250 people, figuring that different people have their favorites and they want to see who they want to see. And so, you know, we hope that that will always be the case. But what we're doing is we're targeting this towards Christmas. So we are, in terms of the pure Little House experience, we will feature specific Little House on the Prairie episodes. So it'll be the pilot, it'll be Christmas on Plum Creek, it'll be the Christmas They Never Forgot. We've done that so that we capture the pilot, we capture something that's very early on, that's sort of classic young Little House cast doing a beautiful Christmas story. And then we've gone to the Christmas They Never Forgot because it captures some older members of the cast telling, you know, being involved in a Christmas story. And I sort of love that idea that everyone gets snowed in at the Little House. And so, you know, so we're going to show that. And then we are doing special, what we're calling VIP presentations with cast. We're doing at Strathern Park, which is an old 1800s farm. That's sort of redundant, old 1800s farm. It is an 1800s farm that was bequeathed to the city of Simi Valley, and it has been, there is a homestead home there, and then to that, the city has added, you know, half a dozen other 1800s era structures. And when I saw this for the first time, I thought, what a perfect place to do a Little House Christmas event, because while it's not the Prairie experience, it's not Soddy's and the really simple little homes that we had on Little House, which were really traveling kinds of homes, although the Little House was there. The Little House was the house that Pa built by hand. But these are more traditional homes, California homes, but of that period. So we thought that was really a nice location to do that. And, you know, we're focused on holiday decorations. So there will be, in addition to episodes, and a wonderful documentary called Little House Homecoming, which we are all really happy with because it's a love letter to Laura, both the Little House books and the Little House series. It features fans from all over America and members of the Little House cast talking about the things that make Little House special to them. So there's that as a screening event. The VIP presentations. We're doing tree trimming and art projects. We have Santa. We're doing a opening night holiday party the simplest way to describe it is it's sort of a holiday cocktail party.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like hors d'oeuvres and music and cast members. And I think we're going to screen some very quick things about Little House. Then we're doing that. On Saturday night, we're doing a cast variety show of sorts. We're calling it the Little House Holiday Follies. And then on Sunday morning, we are doing a holiday breakfast with the cast. And so it's a full weekend of things. And then the meet and greet sessions that go on throughout the weekend with cast members. And there are going to be approximately 17 different members of the Little House family, direct members of the Little House family. There's one crew member who we've invited. She was our script supervisor. And she has wonderful recollections of working with cast members as they're doing the jobs that they were doing. It was her job to keep a close eye on what everybody was doing and that they were saying the right words. And she's a lovely person, and people love hearing her stories. And then in addition to sort of core cast, we've invited some nice guest stars. One in particular, we've invited Todd Bridges to be with us, who, of course, is known to the American television audience for a lot of work that he's done, but he was one of the stars of the Different Strokes series with Gary Coleman for years. A terrific guy. He was involved as a young boy in an episode of Little House called The Wisdom of Solomon, which was, I think, a very honest, forthright look at the impact of slavery and how a young boy is going to transform his life and move on from that period that he and his family endured. I think Todd is a wonderful. That performance is one of the highlights of the entire Little House series. It's a very special performance. We have an actress named Tracy Savage, who was a character named Christy Kennedy for the first 3 or 4 seasons of Little House as one of Laura's good friends, and she's terrific. The Carter family will be there. Stan Ivar and Pamela Roylance and David Friedman will be there. They were John Carter, Sarah Carter, and Jason Carter. Obviously, Karen Grassley. I think Karen Grassley is really Caroline Ingalls, one of America's favorite all-time television mothers, who just radiates a kind of an earthy goodness that is so special. She's going to be there. Charlotte Stewart, who of course was many people's favorite school teacher ever, Miss Beadle. She's there. Nellie Olson or Allison Arngrim, who is beloved as the girl you love to hate or hate to love.
Right.
I'm going to be there. Patrick Labrador, who played Andy Garvey, is going to be there. And then we have a bunch of we have some of the kids who are now wonderful adults who were really small children. Jennifer Donati was baby Rose Wilder, now grown up, mother of her own, a wonderful author. She's done a beautiful book about her Little House experience. It's that kind of group. Ketty Lester, oh my God, Ketty Lester, who was beloved by Americans for her record in the 1950s called Love Letters. She played Hester Sue Terhune on Little House. she's in her 90s, still absolutely beautiful, so sweet, just a wonderful spirit about her. I think people are going to really enjoy seeing this group.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I could listen to you for days about this because I'm just thinking about the fan experience and so many fans of the show worldwide, and
Yeah,
to have them
yeah.
come out and be able to experience a weekend such as this. I mean, you all have put together such a special event for the fans and for each other, because I know it's always good for you guys to get back together when you can. And these events are just so meaningful. And that's why people still keep asking you to please keep doing them. Please keep doing them, you know?
Yeah,
um,
no, it's true, Don. I think people have loved coming to these events. And I think so much of the reason that they love coming to the events is coming to the event and being surrounded by others who love Little House, and seeing the cast that they enjoyed allows them to cathartically think back and remember the times that were so important to them as they watched the program, the things that they felt, the lessons they learned. It's really about the fan experience.
mhm.
It's really about, without providing this really happy experience for fans, there's no reason to do this. You know, I mean, that is the reason to do it. And when we see the joy in people's eyes, the tears, the laughter, the wonderful stories, it's so common. One of the things that I get all the time, and it's such a gift to me. And my wife Catherine always reminds me, or tells me as I go off for these weekends, she said, go off and be adored again, have a
Aw.
wonderful weekend. It's so common that I have women of all ages, women from their 40s, 50s, 60s. Really, that's sort of where it goes to, where they will, and younger too, but where they will come up to me and talk about the fact that Almanzo was their first crush, was that person. And we all have those people. I mean,
Mhm.
I think I had a horrible crush as a little boy on Angela Cartwright in Lost in Space.
Yeah.
I mean, I just thought she was sweet and beautiful, and so we all have those crushes, and what's so cool about this is these women approach me. They're with their husbands, they're with their children, their grandchildren. And they can say this to me because it reflects back on something that was essential in the way that they grew up.
Exactly.
And so there's nothing on it. It's just a purity of acknowledgement. And I just love the fact that people can come up to us and say things like that. And I love being able to just be there and hear it and respond to it, give them a hug, take a picture, talk about the things that they loved in the program. That is an enormous gift to me. It's a gift to all of us who are a part of the program to hear those stories. It's because it's those stories. That's why people come.
That's
And
right.
we love being a part of that.
Well, and Little House on the Prairie is just one of those shows that not only is iconic, but it's timeless. But it's just not because it's outlived itself. It's one of these things where there are so many messages of life lessons that people have carried with them throughout their life that were portrayed on the show. I mean, when you think about, it was a show that existed before social media, and yet the stories of family and faith and perseverance today just feel more relevant than ever. And people never forget those experiences and how it made them feel. And so for a lot of fans who attend these events, I imagine this is like a surreal moment where they get to be up close and personal with you and the other cast members, take pictures, and really share their hearts. And it kind of validates for all of you not only the importance of your role in the show, but what the show itself has meant to so many people, and why the legacy of it just continues to live on and will for all time.
Well, I mean, Don, you said that wonderfully. I think that's exactly what it's about, frankly. Little House has always offered foundational lessons, or does always offer its stories, one story after another. And there are some stories that can be silly, and they can be, Michael had his style of comedy that he loved to do, but the episodes, and they all have something, but those episodes that really touch your heart, those are really and they do that because the things that are being talked about are foundational, human, emotional things that everybody experiences in one form or another. If not, at some point, we're all going to experience those things. And how we choose to cope with that, to manage those experiences, what we feel, if you can get a lesson from, if Little House can be helpful in guiding someone to consider a response that is graceful, decent, accepting, these are really powerful lessons to get. And I think those are the stories that people really, truly keep coming back to over and over and over again, because they teach us those stories of grace and decency and dignity and acceptance and faith. Those are the stories that I think just resonate to the sort of the deep places of where people really live in their lives and the
That's
choices
exactly
that
right.
they have to make. Yeah.
Well,
It's very special.
They're all foundational. And
Yes.
no matter where life takes someone, at the root and the foundation is where it all begins. That's why so many people end up back at the foundation and the core of their values, and a show like this kind of does that. So, well, Dean, I am just so honored that you took the time to speak with me today about this great event that's coming up, about the show, about your career. I mean, it has been truly a joy for me to have you on, but thank you so very much for your time.
Well, Dawn, thank you for having me. I hope you and your audience have a beautiful, happy holiday season. And if they want to know more about our event, they can check it out at Little House on the Prairie castreunions.com. I'm sure you'll share that in your notes.
Absolutely.
But really, I hope everyone has a lovely holiday season. I mean, this is a very special time of year for so many reasons, and I just hope it's good for everyone, as good as it can be.
Absolutely. And I'm wishing you and your family a wonderful holiday season as well. I hope you enjoy it to the fullest, whether you peek in packages or not.
I will not be peeking in any packages, Dawn. Absolutely guaranteed there will be no package, no paper pressing for me. Yeah. And don't you either.
I won't. I promise. That was it left in my childhood. So there we are.
Yeah. Those are the lessons we learn that make a big difference in our lives. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so very much, Dean. It has been a true joy and honor to speak with you, and love to have you back anytime.
I've enjoyed it. Thank you, Dawn. I'd love to come
Thanks. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. What a joy it's been chatting with Dean Butler, such a gracious storyteller and a true part of television history. Be sure to mark your calendars for December 12th through the 14th, when fans can gather at the Little House on the Prairie 50th anniversary reunion at Stratton Historical Park in Simi Valley, California. You can find more details about the event and Dean's latest projects online. Thanks for tuning in to the Christmas Connection. Until next time, may your days be merry, bright, and full of the simple joys that make the season shine.
Thanks for joining us for another heartwarming episode of The Christmas Connection with your host, Dawn Mack. Stay connected with us all season long at ChristmasConnects.com. Follow us on social media On Facebook at The Christmas Connection. On Instagram, Threads, and TikTok at Christmas Connection Podcast. On Blue Sky at Christmas Connects. And on X at TCC_XMASPOD. From our hearts to yours, thank you for letting us be part of your holiday season. Until next time, keep believing, keep sharing the joy, and keep that Christmas spirit shining bright.